Hello. So let me set the stage. It was autumn of 1985 in New York City at the Parker Meridien Hotel. Um, Kate's label had set up an interview with me that day, and I was admittedly more than a little nervous. I think it was the only time in my entire life doing interviews with musicians and such that I ever really felt nervous. I think it's because Kate Bush was someone I just never thought I would meet. Um, and so I got to the city. Um, Before me, as we were getting ready to do the interview, there was a guy taking pictures for, it was either like People or Us magazine, some such thing. And he just didn't want to leave. He was just, let me just shoot one more picture. And he would like try and shoot another roll. And I could see that Kate was starting to look, um, I'm going to say, done with it. And so I just said, look, you're on my time, so you've just got to go. And at first he didn't want to, but eventually he just, in short order, he left. Kate seemed relieved, and she was really nice. When I saw her that day, she had on a black top and black pants and a little red, deep scarlet, almost burgundy kind of bow thingy with a little pattern to it. You've probably seen that if you've seen, say, I know she was on NBC's Live at 5 that evening with Sue Simmons doing an interview with her and calling the song Running Up the Hill, which I found funny. So I was nervous, and as the interview went on with Kate, I even told her, I said, I'll be honest with you, Kate, I'm a little nervous. And so she was very sweet, and she went out of her way to not make me nervous. And I did mention we had an hour, which was, I was so lucky to get that. And it was because I was doing it for a newspaper and for radio. On a local show, they were going to air it. And the quick newspaper thing is I had been writing for a giveaway rock and roll paper at the time. And I offered them this interview. I was offered an interview with Kate, and they said, we'll pass. So I got in touch with another newspaper in the area here in Connecticut, and they said, oh, Kate Bush, we'll pay you 100 and something for that interview. So, hey, that was better than free. And so we did the interview. It went very well. Kate was very sweet. As I went into the place, um, set up to her left was a table with a whole set of a teapot and teacups and such, and she offered me some tea, but I hopefully graciously declined. And the one thing I noticed that I guess is well known about her at this point is she was smoking cigarettes the whole way through. Um, and we talked about, Hounds of Love was a brand new album at that time, and we talked about working with the Fairlight, working on different songs. We talked, and I mentioned the B-side Under the Ivy, and also talked about some older stuff. Like I couldn't go through an interview and not mention Get Out of My House because it's one of my favorite Kate songs. And I want to say somehow even James and the Cold Gun came up in there. And she was very sweet with all of it. Um, After the interview, we ended up doing a quick promo for the radio thing, and somewhere on a tape I have Kate Bush saying, "Listen to John A. Wilcox, he's great," which made my day in many ways. After we did the interview, uh, had a photo taken with us together. Kate sitting on my left with my left hand on her leg, and later on, I should say, after the interview and after we talked about everything from Roy Harper to Boy George was someone that she mentioned really enjoying at the time. She said if you ever need to get in touch with me, she wrote down the address of her personal manager and phone number, which I ended up talking to many times over the years. And in fact, the picture of Kate and I together, I asked her if I could send it to her and have Kate sign it. While I was there, Kate did sign me one of those Guido Ferrari photos where you see her wearing the little hat with the tassel, and I still have that. And she also gave me a rose, which was really sweet, and I held on to that from 1985 until I lost it in a move in 2010. Very sad about that. But anyway, I sent the picture and a question because there was no internet at that time. You know, we're talking 1985. And I didn't know what a song was. I had heard it, and all I heard was the phrase open wide. And so I sent the photo and the question to Kate, and I got back on kind of a, I don't know what you would say, maybe a cornflower blue stationery and envelope with Kate Bush on the stationery itself, telling me that the song was in fact Rantan Waltz, and signing my picture. Definitely her signature because it matched the one she did on the Guido Harari photo. And I still have that one framed somewhere. She was very sweet, very open, and I found I was very lucky to get the time because evidently she blew off a lot of interviews that she just. I remember someone saying she was a little nervous in the city and she wanted to go. One of her brothers was with her. I don't know if it was Patty or John, and she wanted to get some chocolate. So someone lost their interview because of chocolate. So I left it feeling very good, very even at that time appreciating how lucky I was to get that interview, and hopefully one of these days I'll get to do a follow up. But anyway, that's my story of meeting and interviewing Kate Bush. I'm sure I'm forgetting bits of it, but that's the basic story. I hope you enjoyed.